Evening, guys. We got Kev, Derek, how's your op gone, mate? Kieran, Christine, Danny Martin, hey up, bud. James, Linda, Andrew, Simon, Jack, how you doing, pal? We've got Danny, we've got Mike, we've got Kev Coyne, we've got James, Anne, Sandra, Paul, Sandra. Oh, hey, Sandra, you okay? Hey up, Jim. You okay, bud? Yeah, there's a couple more just coming in. Rick, how you doing, pal? Adam, Paulie, popular tonight. Yeah, Rick, winter coat's coming, mate. You need it in this country, as you well know. Hi, Christine. You're right. Yeah, need to keep it going, mate. It's shape's not bad. Done it myself. It's gone too tight to pay anyone to go and get it done. Suffering at the moment. Pain unreal. Yeah, I can imagine, especially having it done. Jim, no sound. Is it muted? Can you hear me? You must have no sound, Jim. Yeah, I can imagine having it done twice, Derek. It's imagine it's bad. Oh, Jim, yeah, good one. Danny Mulder, Johnny, Brendan, Kev. Yeah, we got Stephen, we got Paul. We've got more people coming in. Michelle, how are you doing? You know I'm shit at scrolling down. Rich, how you doing, bud? There you got more people. Hey up, Danny. Okay, mate. And we've got Dave Longmass. Yeah, so you can tell the discussion topic at the top there, at the chat. I don't know if you all saw my post today about my nephew. 4-year anniversary since he took his own life. I can remember it as if it was yesterday. I can remember us all working for my sister-in-law's catering business, and the phone call came through. We all had a job. We were all down at the Winnerton Rec. And the phone call came through, and it was unbelievable. You know, it's God, it blows you away. You don't know what to think. I mean, the backstory to it all. My nephew Alex wasn't well. Did have mental illness. It was, from what I understand, obviously a lot of stuff private to my sister-in-law and ex-brother-in-law and my other nephew. And I won't divulge in a lot of material because it's private to the family. I just what I know and what I discussed with my sister-in-law and what she said, I can sort of say. I will go into. I mean, Alex was suffering from mental illness. From what I understand, it was never diagnosed. as what type of mental illness, although his grandmother on his father's side was registered schizophrenic. Now, some of the things Alex would say and some of the stories he would tell us, and he was convinced they were real. I would say along the lines that that's possibly what Alex was as well. But obviously, I'm no specialist. I'm no expert. But it's a shame because he couldn't really get the help. He couldn't get the help he needed because he used drink and drugs to subside the voices and the things in his head. The amount of times, I don't know the exact number, he was admitted, taken by ambulance or police or both to Lake Hospital to Ward 1. And they wouldn't section him because he was under the influence of alcohol, mainly. He did smoke weed as well. I mean, what sort of young adult teenager doesn't nowadays? They're all at it. It's as fashionable as a pair of jeans, or nowadays a pair of tracky bottoms. But yeah, and he was always as I say, he used the alcohol and the weed to subside the voices, if you like, the things that you could see in his head. And I guess that all got too much. I can remember the day. I can remember exactly what was said, word for word. I can remember where I was stood, what I was looking at. And I remember it every day. But he was in a place in his life where I guess he felt that was the only option he had. And I sometimes think, perhaps if it was the day that it happened, I was 8 weeks out of rehab. 8 weeks from one day out of rehab myself. And I sometimes wonder, if it was now and where I am in my life now, could I have helped more? Because I have a better understanding of addiction and things like that. And I guess Alex maybe was addicted as well because he I don't know, he drank all the time, but I guess it was to suppress what was going on in his head. But as a lad, God, what a worker. Big, strong, solid, lovable lad. And he was an absolute great grafter. It's just a shame that he couldn't get the help. I know his mum took him to the GP, and his dad on a couple of occasions went to the GPs, and I know he was on some sort of medication. Again, I don't know all the details because it's not your everyday subject that you sit and have a coffee and chat about. You don't ask questions about, although you should do, really. So I know he was on some sort of medication, but again, I don't know at the time if he was on the medication, if he was taking the medication, because he was an adult. So you can't force an adult to take medication. So if he was on it, if he was taking it, I don't know. But where he was in his life and everything that was going on in his life, he felt that that was the only way out, was to take his own life. And there isn't a day goes by that we don't light a candle downstairs. We don't think about him. We don't talk about him. You know, it's funny because like where we are in our lives now and what we're all doing job-wise, Alex would have loved it. He would have loved working for me. He would have loved where we all are in our lives now. If he could have got through it and sought the help, I think he would be having a great life now, being with us all. And it's funny because when we're working, even when I've had his brothers working with me, we always see a robin. It doesn't matter what time of the year. There's always a big, fat, stocky robin. And it always comes, when we're digging, when we're putting fences up especially, always comes really close. And we always say, hey, up, you know. It's funny. And my logo, on my business logo, you'll see a bird sat on the fence. Now that's Alex. That's my little tribute to him. Yeah, and it's tragic, and how do you deal with that? Because I can remember his mum getting a phone call to say go to the location and what had happened, and his brother his younger brother was working. I don't think his youngest brother was working with us, but his cousins, his aunties, his uncles, his granddad, I think they were all working with us as well. And so the news come out and just instant shattered the family. And we were catering for a function as well. It's a function at the Salt Museum, an outside catering function, and we still had to try and be professional and carry on when you've just been hit with this bombshell as a family, not as individuals getting a phone call hours after the last person found out, but all together. And it is heartbreaking. And you know, I've personally been in a dark places where that has crossed my mind, but not to the extent of thinking on methods and things like that. But I know where I was in my life. I know that was dark and deep, but shivers. It sends shivers down the spine to think where Alex was in his head, in his mind, to actually take his own life. And how brave, how strong, how courageous he was for doing it. Now that is strength, that is courage, that is, I don't know, call it what you will. A lot of people have got different opinions about suicide, but a lot of the negative opinions about it are from uneducated people who haven't had mental illnesses or addictions affecting their family. You know, some people have these perfect lives where tragic incidents and illnesses and things like that don't affect them. And you usually find that they're the ones who are very opinionated about the darker side of people's lives, of other people's lives, and bad decisions that other people make. You know, and Alex made a decision. Was it a bad decision? Was it the right decision for him? It must have been the right decision for him because that's where he was in his life, and I guess that's what he felt the only decision he had. I don't know. One day I'll get to ask him. But yeah, it's bad. You know, as the years go by, you know, today is the 4th anniversary, and it only seems like yesterday that it happened. And it's you still every day you ask yourself why, and you ask yourself, could I have done more? Because I think, you know, if I was where I am now in my recovery, and if we took that back to where the day Alex made his decision, could I have done more? Yeah, I think I could. I do think, and I think about that a lot. Is that Linda? Every journey is based on the outcome of this person. There's no right or wrong decision. Every decision is right or wrong different. That's right, Linda. That's right. But you usually find the ones who give the negative comments about people who proceed with suicide are the ones who aren't affected by the things that lead to suicide. Does that make sense? And you know, I spoke about hard times. Like me personally, I've discussed about hard times with being in pubs and things like that, and obviously not drinking. And Alex's funeral was the hardest. I think I've said this on one of the streams. Was the hardest time I've been in a pub. His wake was at Hertford Hall, and to say the lad had no friends, God, there must have been 300 people there who knew Alex, grew up with Alex, went to school, went to college, worked with him, family members, and it was unbelievable. So many people's lives that lad touched. And for me, that was one of the hardest days I've had personally about not drinking, and maybe wanting to, or feeling the need to. The amount of times I went and got a coffee, and I think within the space of the first hour, I must have had 6 coffees sat in the car on my own, just crying, because I couldn't be in there, because I felt weak because of the situation and because of where I was. But yeah, the lad touched so many people's lives. I'm proud to say that was his uncle. But I think he'd have really loved it if he was with us today, where we are all the family members are in their lives. He would have fit in unbelievable, and he would have enjoyed it. He would have worked with the family definitely, because what all the family does is graft, and God, you ask him to dig a hole and he wouldn't stop until you told him to. Any weather conditions, any ground conditions. Sorry, just got a message. There we're just trying to compose myself a bit. Thanks, Stuart. Yeah, so I don't know if any of you guys have been affected by deaths in the family this way, or actually mental health issues. Opinions can be strong on this subject, maybe ignorance. Yeah, I agree, Linda. Hey, pal. I'm sure the whole family thought it could yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them. Um, oh, what is it? If you could can it and bottle it, type of things. Words. I can't find the word. Hindsight. But to say it was a swerve ball, God, it knocked everyone for six, and you just can't function. As soon as the news filtered through, not filtered through, as soon as we got the news, because I was actually stood there when his mum got the phone call. And his brother was working behind the bar. Can't remember where his younger brother was. And yeah, I was the one who had to go and tell his younger brother that he had to leave straight away. And of course, his first question was why. And I had to tell him what I knew, word for word. To have to say that to your nephew, God, not nice. But yeah, it's everyone's, the whole, yeah, thanks, Rick. Thanks, Linda. Everyone's sort of been in slow motion today. Even my daughters have been more thoughtful, more in thought, and non-quieter. That's what I mean. And you know, we discuss Alex all the time as a family because he's always there, and we've got a little candle thing, photographs. Candle burns every day. So you sat downstairs watching telly, and you'll always look at the photographs, always, guaranteed. But it's the sort of it's how do you stop people from getting to that point? Is the system wrong? Can people be helped even though they're on alcohol? They're influenced by alcohol, but it's like they sort of refused to assess him because they refused to assess him mentally, or to mentally assess him because he was influenced by alcohol. But the signs, for what he was saying, from the way he was acting, it wasn't a blind person can see that it wasn't the alcohol that was influencing what he was saying. But I guess systems are systems. I don't know. Could the system do more? And where he was taken to hospital and begged, the hospital begged to assess him and keep him in and help him. But because of Alex being under the influence of alcohol, I don't know if it's policy or procedure, but they wouldn't, or they couldn't. What's the yes, Linda? Yeah. So are the policies, procedures wrong, or Because how, if somebody is that bad that they need, if somebody is mentally ill that bad that they feel the need to be on alcohol or drugs 24/7 to dilute what's in their head, surely it's an impossible. Then if it's that bad, suicide's the only way out, because there's nowhere to get help. There is nowhere to get help, because you can't get help. You can't not have the alcohol, because then the voices and the pictures come in his head. And then that could trigger suicide. And from not getting help, and on the flip side, from not getting help, it triggered suicide anyway. I'm making sense there. You know, what is the system wrong, or is there nothing in place to help somebody who needs alcohol and drugs to diffuse a mental illness in their head? Is there no system in place for help? Systems fail. I don't quite get the concept of not assessing under the influence. No, I don't. And we're not just talking, Linda, we're not just talking one or two occasions, you know, probably 5 or 6 occasions where ambulances were called, police were called, police and ambulances took him to the hospital, because it was not by request, because or not all by request, some because they could see that he needed help, he was in distress. But as soon as they got to the hospital, they wouldn't keep him in to assess him because of the alcohol, or the weed and the alcohol. And it's like, well, okay, he can't stay Ward 1 at Leighton, so where can he go? Where's the help there? Instead, just let him back on the street to carry on his own, to try and get through it on his own, because he wouldn't then go to family or anyone, because he just wanted to get the voices out of his head, be on his own, or be with his friends and do whatever he needed to do to get by. So there must be nothing in place. I mean, I know there's always security on or close to Ward 1, because there's always people who get taken to Ward 1 who need restraining and things like that, because of addictions, because of mental illness. But I don't know what the answer is. Where's if that corridor for help is closed, surely there's another corridor that should open, or another door that should open for somebody to go. You know, if it's for staff safety, then I understand to a certain degree, but then you don't hang somebody out to dry and basically let them get on with it until, you know, because it was always told he couldn't get help until he stopped drinking. But he couldn't stop drinking, because then everything in his head would be too much for him to cope with. Catch-22. I mean, try and put yourself, which I've done many a times, try to put yourself in that position and try and get a better understanding, and I can't figure it out at all. You know, if you're mentally in that bad way, and you need alcohol or narcotics to subside that. But then you can't, you know, thinking of it, you know, straight thinking, clean thinking, right? You've got mental health issues, number one. Number two, you need alcohol to suppress them. Number three, sometimes you need alcohol and drugs to suppress them. Then number four, but you can't get help until you stop taking alcohol and drugs. Number five, you can't stop taking alcohol and drugs because then the mental illness becomes too much. Now, surely then, number six, you're in risk of suicide. But forget numbers 1 to 5 because you committed suicide anyway. Because I believe because the help wasn't there or the systems failed in the first place. So you can't. So how, you know, how can it be allowed to happen? Because each route, each direction, each path, each road has the potential of leading to suicide, and it has done. But then the help was refused because of one element, which the patient needed to suppress another element. It's full stop, Andy. It's across the board. One reason is under the influence of clear mental capacity assessment cannot be obtained, but what they should go through in the instant picture. Yeah, I understand the influence and the clear mental capacity, but surely there should be a holding facility of some sort. I know these things, NHS costs money, blah blah. Yeah, you know, I understand all that, and I understand staff, and I understand hours, and I understand all that. But we're talking people's lives here, and we're not talking money. Money comes and goes. We're talking people's lives. Like, surely there should be some sort of holding facility where people are held, not detained, but held in a safe environment until they come down off the drugs or they sober up, where they can be then mentally assessed. Not just you can go, you've got to go because we can't assess you type thing. You know, because it's like being rejected, really. The whole, you know, it's a cry for help, and you know, the kid wanted to be helped. Alex wanted to be helped. My nephew wanted to be helped, and then the help is somewhat refused. It's a hard one. I know. Not hospital, science, serious heartburn, suicide. Mental health patient was put on the ward. Yeah, Sandra, I agree. That should never have happened, you know. But you know, I know a lot comes down to funding. But bloody hell, we can put men on the moon, women on the moon. We've got a space station up there. We've got phones that do incredible things. Surely we can manage people's health better. Look at all the unbelievable things we can do in modern day world. surely we can do better at, yeah, I understand things cost money, but you know, it's, I still don't agree with it. And yes, there should be a real shake-up because the system's it's clearly failing, but then you have to ask how many lives is it going to cost before somebody actually realizes that the system's failing? You know, what is the acceptable amount of lives that it's going to take? Suicides and accidents, clearly, you know, through these issues. How many, you know, there must be a figure of, oh, well, we can not do anything until it gets to this percentage or this point. Because everything in modern day world is percentages, stats and figures. So there's got to be a point where they say, right, we've had X amount of suicides, X amount of deaths, so we've got to do something now. But then it's like, what about the people who've already gone? And then what about the people who need the help and get it? Why? It will be a percentage. You know, you can ask questions all day, but you'll never get answers. I'm sure my sister-in-law has asked questions, and I don't know what happened at the coroner's. I think it was the coroner's report and all that. And, you know, that's private to the family, to the immediate family, to his mum, his dad, his brothers. But I know there was discussions about the GPs and things like that, the system. But it's just another statistic in the wrong direction. Whenever there are cuts in the NHS, yeah, and it's like in today's world, you know, mental health is becoming more accepted, if you like. People are becoming more open and talking about it. Yeah, the help isn't there. The sort of, yeah, it's a massive part of everyday living and modern day society. It's a massive part of the world that we live in, yet the systems aren't in place to deal with it. And I guess it's just a financial thing at the end of the day. Or waiting for statistics to get that bad before they act. And I'm not knocking the NHS at all, because the NHS have kept me alive on a couple of occasions and family members. And it's not knocking them. All the staff work for the NHS are absolute heroes, underpaid heroes, underpaid, overworked heroes. Just haven't got the support to progress, which is a shame. But I'm adamant that it'll take a certain amount of suicides before something will be done. Oh, message. Random. So yeah, so that's, I don't know, has anybody else got any input? Linda's saying a lot. Got 7 people in chat. For the ones who have just joined, the discussion about, you know, the topic at the top of the screen in chat is actually my nephew who committed suicide 4 years ago. 4 years ago today. Never actually had the opportunity to be fully diagnosed with a specific mental illness, because needed drink and drugs to subside what was going on in his head constantly 24/7, but couldn't get the help because of the alcohol and drugs. So obviously, in order to be assessed and things like that, couldn't be kept in hospital, couldn't be sanctioned until the drink and drugs were out of his system. So it was just basically shown the door. The help is there if you have money. It does come down to money, you know, and I guess like the celebrities who earn the money and do drugs and things like that, they can afford it. It's like they can go on binges and things like that, and then pay to get themselves fixed, if you like. I mean, it's like Paul Gascoigne. He was in the facility that I was in 4 times, and it's something stupid like £4,000 a week. And he was admitted to that facility 4 times, and on 2, I think it was 2 of them occasions, he was asked to leave because he kept sneaking out and drinking and just taking the piss and not helping the other patients that were there. There's only 4 patients there at any one time. And I guess, you know, and Gaz has been in loads of different rehab clinics and things like that. And, you know, some self-funded, some by the PFA, and he ain't got a pot to piss in now, so it'll be all from the PFA, which is like our union. I'll just let the cat out. One sec. Yeah. So yeah, Sandra, money does talk and money does get you help, but we're not all that fortunate to be in a position to have that lifestyle. Some are more fortunate than others. But going back to Alex, you know, after he took his own life, some great services came forward, some great bereavement services, and a lot of charities came forward. And I was speaking to my sister-in-law a few weeks ago, and she actually doesn't know who contacted them. They just contacted my sister-in-law. So I don't know what the procedure is for that, whether the police do it or I honestly don't know. But she can't recall contacting any bereavement services. They just all contacted her. And if there's anything that we do now, sponsorship wise or raising money, it's always for Mind, the charity Mind. Because that's one my sister-in-law has chosen to, because of Alex. That's one that our sort of family has adopted as a charity on Alex's behalf. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too grumbly about the system and the care that is lacking, but there's massive grey areas in the system to deal with this type of thing, I think. But then, you know, could I have done more? Could we have done more? You know, you can't babysit an adult. doesn't want to be babysat, just to make sure he's okay. But I mean, you try and picture I try and compare to where I was when I was in my darkest places, and then try and think of where Alex must have been to actually carry out, to find to be in such a low place, then to find the strength and the courage and the bravery to actually do what he did. Must have been a real dark place, but for him to find the courage and the strength just shows what an unbelievable character he was. He was such a great person. You know, you could ask him to, oh, no flights, I'm stuck in Spain, and he'd be there in 2 days. He won't tell you going. That's the type of person he was. He'd always help. So helpful. Such a helpful, hard-working young man. And it's hard to see the decline in his, because we moved back, when we moved back round here. Prior to that, we didn't see much of Alex. You know, they were teenagers growing up, getting mopeds, then cars, you know, out with girls and living their life. And then when we moved back, the actual, to see the difference from the last time we saw them to sort of moving back 5 years ago, totally different. I mean, yeah, we all change as we grow up, but just some of the things he would say and some of the stories, you know, he was telling us that were beyond belief. I mean, little men climbing up the walls and things like that. But he was telling them in a way that it's so real to him. It's just a shame that couldn't get help. Now, like I say, is that system failure, or is that a loophole that people with mental illness, is it a loophole that people with mental illness that require alcohol or drugs to subside their feelings, their emotions, their thought process? Is there just nothing there for that patient? Is there just no help available? Or is it just policies? Is that help there and readily available, but policies and procedures block the help that's required? Because, you know, policies and procedures and things like that are made by people who aren't on the front line. You know, it's like these road planners and people who plan doing road works are done by people who are sat in the office 24/7 and never go out and look at conditions and situations and or where other roadworks are. And I think it's the same across the board when it comes to decision making, made by the top people who haven't got a clue what's going on the front line. And it's the people on the front line, i.e. the nurses and the doctors, the emergency staff, that have to just deal with it. Then their hands are tied by the policies and procedures when they can clearly see that somebody needs more help than what they can give. Yeah, I agree with you, Rick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Alex was actually diagnosed as being an alcoholic. I guess he chose to drink alcohol to suppress his mental thinking, his mental illness. But then I guess towards the end of the life, the amounts and he was drinking, and I guess he was, it's just another mental illness upon a mental illness. I don't know about the weed. Is weed addictive? Don't know. Can someone answer that? Is weed addictive? I don't know. But I mean, a lot of teenagers smoke weed. It's very social. They're very sociable today. They all do it. Well, a very high percentage of do it or have done it. I don't know if weed. I mean, like I say, I don't know if you were here, Sandra, when I said Alex used alcohol and weed to suppress his mind, if you like. Is that a medical fact? Psychological, Linda, yeah. Not physically, but psychologically, yeah. Right, cool. Okay, thanks. That gives me a better understanding. So again, that added to a mental illness. That would help suppress the. How are you, Jack? You okay? How was your holiday? So yeah, it's been a tough one for everyone today. Yeah, you can tell everyone's not been at it, if you like, because of the day and. Yeah, good lad. Everyone else all right? Just waiting on a steak. Oh, right, okay. Thought that you might be eating. It's only favourite pastimes, mate. Right, so we've been going 53, 54 minutes there. Has anybody got any questions or anybody like to share anything with us all? There's only 7 people left. I'm going to call it a day there because of, I don't know. They all seem to be having a good. Oh, that's good. That's good. But yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks everyone for attending and participating. Yeah, you go and enjoy your steak, Jack. I'll just sit here and have what am I on? Star Mix. Lovely. But yeah, no, thanks everyone for dropping by. It's been a tough day mentally, but it's worth it for remembering, cracking on. So yeah, so we'll call it a day there. Thanks everyone for coming in, and hope you all remain well. And I shall see you all again soon. Take care.